This is a 1975 copy of a 1957 Stratacaster. This is actually made in the U.S., kind of at the Fullerton factory in south of L.A. I know because I actually picked it up. I'll just show you the back side. You can see it's pretty well worn in. This is the guitar I played from 1975 all the way up until I mean, it's got all these years of funk on it. Stank, you know. And everything, all the wear and tear on this is from me. I mean, it's even got, see, you can see right there, I never wore a belt because, you know, I didn't want to screw my guitar up. That's from the top button of the 501s I pretty much just wore every night. I always wore a pair of 501s almost all my life. You know, I really have never done anything to this guitar other than use the wrong kind of polish. I mean, I used Pledge instead of like Goya or something like that, you know. But and then the places I played were so humid and moist, you know, so the finish sort of alligatored up on me, and you know, even this little place. This was where I used to just I would just rest my hand in between songs or something. I'm not going to do any much to this guitar. I'm going to clean it. That's all I'm going to do, and I'm going to change the strings on it. But let me tell you the story of this because at the time in 1975 I was in Los Angeles, and this guy that I had befriended named Adam Summers gave me a job, and he was the head of Warner Music something or other. I think it was, you know, he would like promote the albums. He was the guy that made sure that the albums were shipped out of the manufacturer to the different music stores, especially when the artists that Warner's had showed up in whatever city they were going to show up in. So anyway, they were doing this. They were trying to promote Robin Trower. He did this really great album called Bridge of Sighs, which I just thought, you know, I got a copy of it. So anyway, they were having this Robin Trower lookalike contest, so he tasked me. I had the title of assistant director, but basically I had a pickup truck. I had an old 1960 Ranchero. So I drove down from L.A. to the Fullerton Fender factory, which like was unbelievable for me. I got to tour the whole Fender factory. The contest was, I don't know, you know, there was about 10 or 12 guitars involved. So I went down there and I picked up all the guitars. They were in little wood kind of cases, you know. And I just had a, you know, the guy was really a nice guy. I was just a young man. I was probably, you know, 25 maybe. And so um and I was also been a carpenter and a woodworker. So I mean, for me to walk through the carpentry shop and just see all the tools and then all of the unfinished guitars that were on display, and then and then I went into the room where all the finished guitars were. I mean, it was amazing. It was one of the greatest musical guitar days of my life. And you get a chance to do that. So they were we were loading the guitars in my truck, and he stopped at this one guitar, and he kind of stopped. He opened it up. He says, "Look, this one guitar is a copy of a '57 because it's was '75. So they flipped the year 75, '57." And he says, "We only made 100 of these this year." And I'm thinking to myself, for some reason, I thought 100 might be quite a bit, but apparently not. So I said, "Wow, that's what a great guitar. That's really cool, man." Anyway, packed it all up, threw it in the back of the truck. Um, I don't know why he told me that. I guess it was I was supposed to point that out, and for some reason. So don't forget that Warner Brothers is paying me to do this. I think they paid me $100. This took me almost all day, not to drive down to Fullerton and back to Burbank. That took a few hours, like a morning. But then when I got back, I had to take these all out to where they were holding this event, and I can't remember where it was. I went to so many places in those days in Los Angeles. So my job then was to tune them all up. They had already been strung, so I didn't have to do that. And then, set them up in a display. And I had this photographer lady, and actually a woman named Penelope Spheres was there documenting it all because she did in-house cinema photography in those days. So it all got done, and we're all looking around, and then Adam showed up, and was the boss of the whole thing. He was the head of marketing for Warner Records. That was his title. So we're just standing there bullshitting, and he just looks at me and goes, So which one of these guitars, man, do you know?" So I immediately said, "Oh, well, that guitar there is you know, the best one out of the bunch, or not the best one, but I said it's probably the most, you know, um, I wouldn't say expensive because there wasn't anything like that really. I don't know what a Fender like this was going for in 1975, but I'm sure we're talking hundreds, not thousands." So when I said, "Well, that one, it's a copy of a '57," he says, "Out of all these guitars," he says, "which one would you like?" And I just looked at him. I go, "Well, you that's the one. I mean, because look at it. It's got a maple neck. It's got the same. You can't see it now, but this was very nice and bright. It looked more like that than it does now." And so he goes, "Huh, go ahead, man. It's yours." And I was just I was in shock. I couldn't believe it. So anyway, that's the story of my little of this guitar, and I'm gonna go ahead and clean it and restring it. Okay, I'm gonna take off this E string, and then you just pull it on out. Well, sometimes I will get something like this where it's a little knot is created where it was tied onto the head, strong enough to where I don't really want to try to undo it. So that's when I take my wire cutters. Finally cut. I've had those wire cutters probably longer than I've had this guitar. So Never in the history of changing strings on a guitar have I ever had this happen. My E string just will not come loose and come out the little hole in the back here. Okay, I got it out by sticking a tiny little screwdriver down in there and just kind of knocking it loose, and then it came back out. I guess it was just stuck in there with grime or something. It's making me feel like I should completely tear this guitar completely apart and clean it, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I got to leave some kind of funk on it, you know. Otherwise, it might affect the way it plays. I don't know. It's kind of superstitious guitar player talk. Okay, tiny bit of vinegar, straight vinegar, no apple cider vinegar or any of that kind of stuff. Just straight old ordinary crappy vinegar, the cheapest. A little bit of water, and of course my little bowl is a cap for a PVC pipe. I'm telling it how much I care about it, even though it's an inanimate object. So maybe it'll play better. Boy, I'm just getting crazier and crazier in my old age. Okay, we're gonna try a little area on the back here with just the vinegar and water. Just see. You know, I can feel like the grunge. Okay. Well, I'll be back. Probably in a couple of days. I'm barely touching the surface. Well, I gotta get a new rag. And this is just, I mean, I can tell it is getting a little better, and I can feel it getting a little cleaner, but you know, it's not quite as sticky, but it's far from finished being clean. And I've only just done basically the body. Day 2. I just took off the knobs. As you can tell, they're just filthy. I'm gonna actually take them and soak them. Well, this is the 3rd day, but you can tell this is yesterday, and then today is the more cleaner. But I can literally now take a rag, a dry rag, and it, kind of goes over everything real nice and smooth and nothing sticky. I've tried to clean, I still have some nooks and crannies I want to go over, but I think I'm done with the body, and basically the neck. Never seen. I know this is kind of odd, but the neck has been, you can kind of see. Let's see if you can see how shiny it is. And it's always been that way. It's always had this at one time I contemplated sanding this thing because it was kind of like the rage back in the 80s and 90s. Guitar players were sanding the back because they were doing all this shit. But I just decided never to do that. But anyway, it's not really like shining up or anything like that because the finish has been so damaged. But I'm pretty happy with it. It's pretty clean. That smell is kind of gone. Ooh, that smell. I like that smell kind of. I don't know why. That morning, that time when you walk into an empty bar from the night before, and it just smells like beer, puke, and cigarettes and alcohol. I'm still cleaning. This is one Q-tip, one pickup. Wow. Fourth day. I gotta bring in the big guns to clean these things. And I have just tried to do it by hand. These are the volume knobs, but bring in my old toothbrush. The only reason I changed this toothbrush is because somebody in my family bought me a new one. Why have I been screwing around with all that other dumb stuff? This thing just is cleaning it out. Wow. That is pretty amazing. Well, that's about all I can take. So I've been rubbing it just with a dry, clean part of this towel for a while now. That my little old electric toothbrush, which I've used to clean up all kinds of things, has worked great around these little edges and actually cleaned the nut, and I've rubbed it with this clean cloth and it shined up pretty good. I mean, it's not the best, but it's a lot better than it was. I mean, it was dull, and it no longer, is sticky feeling. That's the main thing. So, anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and put this all back together, and these things came out real nice and clean. The knobs. So there is one. I have one little spot up here on this fret. That there's a groove there. There's grooves made all along these frets. I'm not gonna mess with that too much. I am gonna probably have a little rat file, and I'm gonna take this down because the corner of it is sticking up just a hair, just enough for me, for it to feel. I think I remember that vaguely. Anyway, I'm going to take care of that. Then I'm going to put it back together, and then I'll show you what's up. Yeah, doing this video with this guitar was not without bloodshed. That's why I always cut the ends of those strings off, and then I take whatever I got, wire cutters or metal, some kind of object, and try to bend them down out of the way. But I guess it's good, you know. I haven't played this guitar in a little bit, years and years, so maybe this is a crucible or something, whatever they call that when something gets baptized with blood. My own blood might be a good thing. You never can tell. But anyway, a little ouchy. I'm so used to getting stuck that I didn't even know it really until I looked down and there was blood down the neck. And so I said, oops. So I grabbed it, cleaned it off. All right. All right. So I was rummaging through my cases and I found these old Super Slinkies that have the E string's 9 gauge, and through all the years that I played electric guitar in bands, I've pretty much used boomers or Fenders. I've used Super Slinkies before, but I was pretty much a boomer 10. I mean, that's what I used. So these are going to be, and I found three of these altogether in one of the inside cases of, I think it was my old strat case. I have two Fender cases. I got a blonde one that's pretty new that I got for that, for my telly, and then I have the old black case I've just had beat the crap out of for years and years. I mean, it's like my guitar. So I've been through a lot, is what I meant. So anyway, I'm just gonna go ahead and use these strings because I don't feel like driving all the way down to the only place in town anymore is like Guitar Center. There's a kind of a stuck-up acoustic place where, but I played golf with those guys and they were kind of assholes to me because I was electric or whatever, So, you know, you guys were more better because you're acoustic players, but you still driving a car, playing golf, and I mean, whatever. I don't understand any of that crap, and I never will. But in any case, I'm gonna go ahead and put these strings on. Um, this is day, I think 5 or 6 or something. But just wanted to say, here's a brand new clean um, towel, and I can just easily, that's how much I've rubbed this damn thing. I can easily go just anywhere on this guitar now, and it's nice and smooth and not sticky, and um, I don't get anything on it. I'm going to go ahead and just do this E string. What I like to do, well, for this E string, I use, how far up it goes to manage it. How long I cut it off. So, you don't need to wrap it that many times. 3 or 4 times is plenty. So I'll take it up to, about here, and then I'll bend it over. All right. So, well, that's looking good. I'll get back when I get to the end of the stringing process. All right. I think I'm pretty well done with this as far as I'm going to do it. And I mean, it's pretty darn clean, pretty darn shiny. It looks worn because it is worn by me. I have lighter gauge strings on here than I've ever used before. I've never used a 9. The weakest or the um, easiest going I've ever used was a number 10. And mainly because I played all the time, so I got used to bending that, and plus it stayed in tune, better. I'm not that concerned. I mean, if I go out of tune, I can just stop and tune it up. So I'm kind of looking forward to this. I don't really have any way to, See if I can do a little. So whatever. I don't have a way to play this. I don't even own an amplifier anymore, which trying to work on that. I want to get myself a little champ with a single 10 inch, maybe a 10 watts, or I think they make a 10 or 20 watt. Just a small little practice amp is all I'm looking for. But I feel really good about this thing. I love this guitar. I did have some guy one time. I took it in years ago, and I'm not going to name names, but he's a pretty well-known lutherer, and he kind of poo-pooed this. Oh man, it's a CBS. I'm sorry to tell you. I go, what? I, number one, I know that all about that, and I know that CBS. Leo Fender sold Fender the name and the company to CBS. CBS kept the same factory in Fullerton and kept all the employees, by the way. I will return with this guitar in hand, playing notes through the interweb. Super bitchin'. It's my baby. Here's to all you Strat guys. This is mine. Adios and buenos dias.